This is standard 13 ecosystems, and for this one, we did our ecosystem essay. So we're mainly concerned with what imbalances our ecosystems, what's harming them, and we're looking at the causes and effects. So the causes of harming. Okay, let's say causes of ecosystem, and let's just call it imbalance. So in an imbalanced state, we're going to have organisms dying or just being not healthy, not good for us and not good for them. So it's not good for species survival and reproductive success for them when they're unhealthy. So they need ecosystems that provide them with habitats that are compatible with the traits that they have. And if we're making them, if we're trashing them because of what we're doing, our causes, then that's what's going to happen. It's just going to cause that imbalance in their environment, and they're not going to be able to survive, and will cause some species to go extinct. And those animals are part of our natural resources, so we're basically shooting ourselves in the foot and causing our own problems. And so we know, we didn't talk about it like this, but we know that the main cause of that is the overuse of our natural resources. So let's give some examples. Deforestation, pollution, and the pollution pollutes the air, the water, and the soil. And maybe we are using a lot of plastic. Maybe we're overusing it. But I think the problem with plastic pollution is mainly how we're taking care of the waste. So a lot of countries are not taking care of their waste appropriately. And so maybe if we're using too much too, we just don't know how to take care of it. It's just going into our landfills and just causing a lot of problems. But especially other countries, they don't have an organized system for their trash. And so they end up having a ton of plastic pollution and garbage all in their natural resources, their water, their soil, and just everywhere. We have that too because we litter, basically. That's what I'm talking about. Let's see if I think I spelled that correct. Litter, that's liter. Okay, whatever. All right, so our pollution, not just plastic pollution, but we also pollute. We should say that this is what causes this is the overuse of our natural resources like oil and gas. We're burning that to fuel our cars and our factories and all those things, which is causing more and more pollution. All right, so what these things, how this affects the overuse of our natural resources. It becomes a cause, so it is the cause, and then it affects, so that's the action word. It affects other things and changes them. So this becomes our independent variable. The independent variable is the cause. And then what it affects is our dependent variable. So this is what we wrote our essays on. It affects ocean dead zones, or it creates ocean dead zones. The acidification of oceans is another way of saying that. And that's where there are certain spots in the ocean where animals can't live. It's destroying their habitat. There's not enough oxygen there. There's too much acid in the environment there. And so fish and other aquatic animals and plants are not able to receive the appropriate amount of oxygens for species survival. So they move out. They either die or move out from that space. So we have zones in the ocean that are dead. We also have the decrease of wildlife. We talked about that, and that includes animals and plants. So we're either decreasing them or we're debilitating them. And we're causing some of them to go extinct. So on a continuum, we'll just say the least we're doing is debilitating them, making it hard for them to survive. And then in here we are, debilitating them. We're eliminating some, causing them to die. Eliminating some. And then at the most extreme, we're causing the species to go extinct. So that's what we're doing to wildlife, and which includes animals and plants. Acid rain is another one of them. And I'm not sure which comes first, ocean dead zones or acid rain, because the air is polluted in a lot of places, and then the acid from that pollution accumulates in the rain clouds and then rains down on the earth, and that's when it is getting into our water and our soils. It comes from the air and then gets into our water and in the soils and pollutes those areas. Okay, and then I'm going to erase this. Climate change would be also a consequence or a dependent variable to our overuse of natural resources. And so that's causing all kinds of problems. We already talked about polluting the water. That's our fresh water. So there's less fresh water resources. And then climate change also is, through this series of events, overuse of our natural resources to climate change, and then we know sea ice is decreasing, and the glaciers, and also ice caps in different areas, just all those things that normally stay and to a certain thickness over even the summer months in those areas, they continue to stay as ice, and over the years get thicker and thicker. And but with climate change, it's causing the sea ice to melt, sea temps to increase. And I'm not sure what the connection is here. I don't know if scientists can say there is a positive direct connection, but hurricane intensity increases also. So they're saying that it's not the number of hurricanes that are increasing, but it's the intensity of the hurricanes that are increasing. Like Hurricane Katrina, all of their levees that they built, like I think it said at least 50 levees that were built they failed in Hurricane Katrina. And the question was, well, why did they fail? And it is because that they didn't anticipate that a storm could ever get that big, that a hurricane could ever get that big and would cause that degree of flooding, that high degree of flooding. Okay, so we know that hurricanes also cause coastal flooding, and also just having higher sea levels, because as the sea ice melts and sea temps raise, but also sea levels are raising. All these things are increasing. Every time I put an arrow next to it, we can know that we've got, overuse of natural resources increase. And so we've got climate change, We know the temperature is increasing, so that's proportional. We got the sea ice, so that's inversely proportional. Sea temps, that's proportional. Hurricane intensity, proportional. Coastal flooding, sea levels, proportional. Okay, and then land, you figure this one out. It's decreasing, especially those coastal regions as the seas increase. I think that's at least forecasted too in our future. All right, so that's ecosystem. I think I did climate change on this one too, together, because we're talking so much about it. Let me see. Okay, so we kind of transitioned into climate change through here, which is standard. Let me see what standard it is. I'll do it on the next video.